News at 6 Live right now.
Tonight, how could it happen? A grieving son fighting for answers after his elderly mother died, waiting 2.5 hours for an ambulance.
The agony she must have been in, just all alone, no one to be with her.
Plus, the Premier says sorry, promising action with a plan to use firefighters to fill the COVID-crippled gaps. Police smash a campervan cocaine plot, stopping a $128 million haul hitting WA streets. A Perth schoolboy threatens another student with a kitchen knife in a terrifying classroom clash. A shock poll gives hope to the coalition as the election race tightens. And a couple's emergency escape trapped in raging floodwaters.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thomson.
Good evening. A heartbroken son is tonight demanding change after his elderly mother died from a heart attack while waiting hours for an ambulance. Paul Wild says her death is unforgivable as the Premier apologised, promising action.
2.5 hours. That's how long Paul Wild's mother waited for help, alone and slowly dying.
I'd sit and imagine my poor mum sitting down in that couch, waiting for the ambulance to turn up, waiting, and it didn't come. The agony she must have been in, just all alone, no one to be with her. The answers need to be found. Had
paramedics meant the benchmark response time for emergency patients, Georgina Wild would likely still be here.
She was alive. Within that 15-minute Category 1 time frame, she was still alive, and she would be alive today if it wasn't for what happened. And that's unforgivable in anyone's language.
Paul White was his mother's only child. His loss runs deep.
We immigrated from the UK in the early 70s, and I lost my father when I was very young. She's been pretty much my whole family, and she's been my rock.
The family notified of the 80-year-old's death by police almost 8 hours after she was declared deceased on Sunday morning. They told him she died waiting for an ambulance. What they didn't tell him is how long she waited.
Without you, Jerry, I wouldn't have even known this, and it would have just been a normal death that no one would have even known about. It just seems like there's people are trying to hide things or cover it up, or they know they've messed up. Someone knows they've messed up somewhere, and now they're all running for cover.
When paramedics arrived, they found Georgina Wild sitting here on the couch, deceased. In the 2.5 hours that she was waiting for an ambulance to arrive, St John's call centre rang her 3 times. The first 2 times she had to get up and walk to that phone, all in the midst of having a heart attack. The 3rd time they called, she didn't answer. It is believed that she had already passed away. When paramedics finally got here an hour after that, Georgina had left the front door unlocked and her prescriptions already laid out for them.
Clearly not acceptable. Clearly not acceptable. I want to say sorry to Georgina Wild's family.
The Premier says when Georgina Wild sought help, ambulance staffing was down 40%, revealing St John has the option of calling in firefighters to fill gaps, but did not.
We don't run St John, we don't control St John, it's a contractual arrangement, but we certainly need to ensure... We certainly need to ensure that there is better performance.
That intervention, though, may only go so far.
So does Michelle Fife need to go?
No, I'm not getting into that, those issues.
A paramedic survey we exposed last night revealing 92% have no confidence in the CEO. Georgina Wild, the 4th death in just over a year from alleged substandard care by paramedics or hospitals, and the strain of COVID only getting worse.
This government has had the luxury of time and being able to watch what's happened in other states.
The family hadn't heard from anyone at St John or the government in 2.5 days since Georgina Wild died. Then, mid-interview, this voicemail.
Hi, my name's Michelle Fife. I'm the CEO of St John. I was hoping to speak to you. Please call me at your convenience.
When you do call Michelle Fife back, what is it that you want to hear from her?
You can say anything you want, but unless you actually get up and do something, you're never going to get anything done.
And Jerry DeMasi, you've got details on more emergency patients left waiting for ambulances.
Michael, it seems nothing has changed. Yesterday, the day after the incident, 1/3 of patients that needed emergency priority assistance waited longer than that 15-minute benchmark. Now, St John's just now released a statement. It lists a range of critical options available to them in the caseload if that happens. But there was absolutely nothing new in it. Paul Wild, he did end up calling Michelle Fyfe back. I was there. She offered an apology and she promised an extensive review. The Health Minister, Amber Jade Sanderson, also called while I was there. She too offered an apology and a review, but only the fullness of time is going to tell us whether these reviews will yield the answers and the reforms that this family and the WA public deserve. But we will be watching and we will be following through. Michael.
Such a sad story. Jerry, thank you. Police have foiled an elaborate plot to smuggle almost $130 million worth of cocaine into WA. 300 kilograms of the drug was intercepted and 2 men arrested, accused of collecting the massive stash from a mothership off Port Hedland.
Authorities show off their win over organised crime gangs. 320 kilograms of cocaine, $128 million worth.
Organised crime don't want to lose $120 million of cocaine.
The stash in 1 kilogram blocks was seized in Port Hedland on Sunday morning. The Tactical Response Squad honing in on a camper van. The joint operation involving the AFP, WA Police and Border Force foiling the elaborate plan, arresting a 49-year-old from New South Wales and his 37-year-old German accomplice nearby.
The men have been charged with federal offences of importing a commercial quantity of a border-controlled drug, carrying a maximum penalty of life imprisonment.
Police allege the German national travelled to Australia earlier this month, meeting the New South Wales man in Port Hedland. They both sailed out about 28 kilometres offshore to a so-called mothership to pick up the drugs.
There were 20 crew on board that vessel, a range of different nationalities. A comprehensive search of the vessel was conducted and a significant number of electronic devices were seized.
Where the cocaine was loaded onto the bulk carrier, authorities are still investigating, but what they are hoping for, this will send a strong message to organised crime gangs who are looking to import drugs into Australia.
We will fight and come after you until the end of days.
The men in custody are deemed lower ladder individuals, and the hunt is on for those higher up here and overseas. Tracy Vo, 9 News.
A Perth schoolboy has pulled a kitchen knife on another student in a terrifying classroom clash. Disturbing vision shows the teenager waving the weapon in the air before a teacher grabs it from his hands.
Knife drawn, a Year 9 student corners his classmate. Others dive under tables while their teacher pulls the weapon from the teen's hand. Next, an umbrella is used until the pair is separated. This was yesterday's science class at Gilmore College in our southern suburbs. An argument over an umbrella escalating into a police incident.
We work with teachers, we work with the principals, we make sure they know what to look out for and we make sure the police response is appropriate.
Nobody was hurt, but the vision is shocking. Officers today returning to the Aurelia campus for a second time. The Education Department labelling the behaviour as not acceptable. It says processes have begun to expel him.
That's why we put in place the enhanced suspension and discipline policy last year. So that allows schools to much more easily suspend and, if absolutely necessary, expel students who cause that sort of violence and disruption in the classroom.
Parents here were left largely in the dark about what unfolded yesterday. Some telling 9 News they received a text message from the school about a behavioural incident but had no idea it involved a weapon on school grounds. The college has a checkered past. In 2020, a 14-year-old student was charged over a cafeteria stabbing that left a classmate in hospital with 2 puncture wounds. A close call from this clash with a backpack blade. Mia Edgerton-Warburton, 9 News.
An exclusive new poll shows the ALP is losing ground to the coalition. The two parties now neck and neck, 4 days out from election day. There was also another battle over numbers today, with the government attacking Labor's policy costings.
Thank you. Another day, another leader in a hard hat.
Awesome.
and another community morning tea.
No sugar, thank you.
Day 37 of this epic campaign looked much like any other, but with the Saturday finish line looming, today was a battle over numbers.
Labor still has yet to submit one policy for costing.
Our costings will be out on Thursday.
The Coalition's money men released the final tally of their election promises and pledged to help pay for the $2.3 billion bill by shaving the cost off departmental spending, which will run to $327 billion this year.
What we have done is put 35 policies forward for costing, and Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers have put a big fat zero.
Which is something the Liberal Party also did when it was last in opposition.
All of this bleating and banging on about Labor's costings can only be seen as a desperate distraction from the government's own substantial economic and budget failures.
Labor has all but conceded it will be spending billions more if it wins government.
The most important thing here is not whether deficits are a couple of $1 billion each year better or worse than what the government is proposing. What matters most is the quality of the investments.
Right now, the numbers that matter most are the 17 million Australians who have already started voting, and so far all the public polls show Labor well ahead.
See if I can do a bit better this time, eh?
The latest poll shows he is. The Sydney Morning Herald and Age Resolve Political Monitor shows Labor's primary vote has taken a hit, dropping 3 points to 31%, lower than the result it achieved at the last election. The Coalition's primary vote is up 1 point to 34%, still 7 points down on the last election. But once preferences are distributed, this poll says this race is now neck and neck at 51-49.
That's a bit better.
The latest poll will send a shudder through Labor, though it still expects to win come Saturday.
Look, it's a daunting prospect. The next 4 days, you can see the end of the journey.
How daunting is it? Because in a few days' time, you could be the next Prime Minister of Australia.
I'm comfortable that we've left nothing on the field.
In 4 sleeps, one man will emerge a winner. The government always hoped the gap would narrow during the campaign, and that's what this poll shows. But this is a hard set of numbers to reconcile. If Labor's primary vote is on 31%, it's almost impossible to conceive it forming a majority government. And it is impossible to imagine the Coalition could stay in power with a primary vote of 34%, given it always gets lower preference flows than Labor. But insiders in both major parties say their internal polling shows a tighter race than many public polls suggest, and 51-49 is about where it sits, which means Labor has the edge. But this race is too close to call. And tonight on A Current Affair, Tracy Grimshaw will interview Scott Morrison. That's straight after the news at 7 o'clock. WA has recorded its highest number of fatalities yet in the pandemic. 14 deaths were reported overnight, the majority of them men, dating back to the start of May. COVID patients in hospital rose to 325, an increasing figure that doctors worry will further cripple the health system. Daily infections also surged to 15,674. It's now easier than ever for close contacts to collect free rapid antigen tests with new drive-through sites across the suburbs. 3 new pick-up points will be opening in Joondalup, Jandakot and Bassendean. Ezra Holt, household contacts can only leave the home if they have no symptoms.
Michael, the new drive-through collection sites will open tomorrow in a new testing blitz. It will make it more convenient for close contacts to provide a negative test result before leaving home under WA's easing of isolation rules. Individuals can get 10 free rats and households can get a maximum of 30 each. The collection site here in Joondalup will open from 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 at night, Monday to Friday, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. On Sundays, however, you will need to collect those from Jandakot and Bassendean. Michael.
Ezra, thank you. The city of Mariupol is tonight under Moscow's control after a battle lasting almost 3 months. 264 Ukrainian troops have been evacuated from steel plants and transported to Russian-held territories.
Buses of wounded soldiers evacuated from the Azovstal steelworks. After 82 days, Ukraine has declared the combat operation in Mariupol complete, ending the longest battle in the war and relinquishing a city that had become a powerful symbol of resistance. Officials estimate as many as 2,000 Ukrainian troops are still inside the plant. President Zelensky saying the ongoing rescue mission will require delicacy and time. We hope to save the lives of our guys, he said. Ukraine needs Ukrainian heroes alive. 5 hours away, a Russian-held railway bridge is blown up by Ukrainian special forces as Russian troops, plagued by recent failure in Kharkiv, refocus efforts in the east. As the Russian campaign appears to have stalled, President Putin has issued a warning to NATO, saying he has no problem with Finland and Sweden joining the alliance. But if military infrastructure is expanded in either country, it would provoke a response. Sweden's Prime Minister confirming the Nordic nation is following Finland in officially applying to join NATO, an historic shift after 200 years of military neutrality.
Both Finland and Sweden bring a great deal to the NATO alliance.
Norway, Denmark and Iceland all say they're ready to protect the two countries if they're attacked. As the world's largest fast food chain announced its permanent exit from Russia. McDonald's, which opened as the Cold War began to thaw 30 years ago, temporarily closed its stores in March and will now sell all of its restaurants. In London, Karianne Greenbank, 9 News.
Police have swooped on an accused gunman in Perth's east, seizing a silencer and a stash of ammunition. Officers raided a home and business in High Wycombe yesterday, also discovering a bulletproof vest. A 51-year-old man is facing 5 charges. Terrifying dashcam footage has captured the moment a couple's car was washed away in raging floodwaters. The pair is tonight lucky to be alive after ignoring warnings to turn around.
A raging brown torrent gushing in, a ute going down, the driver and passenger trying to escape.
No harm.
Moments earlier on a flooded highway in Western Queensland, the foolish, frightening decision caught on dashcam.
This ain't no go zone. Keep going, you have to keep going now.
They push on, start to float. Seconds later,
We're just gone off the edge. Babe!
get your purse. Then eerie silence, heavy breathing, water rising around them. At the mercy of the current, they crash into a tree.
And I'm scared.
Snagged again, now sinking further, panic setting in.
Where's your phone?
Posted late this afternoon, the exact time of the video hasn't yet been verified.
No harm.
It's understood both the driver and passenger were remarkably unharmed. Reece D'Alessandro, 9 News.
An incredible ocean feeding frenzy has been caught on camera off our south coast. A couple fishing spotted up to 100 sharks sinking their teeth into a huge whale carcass.
A breakfast buffet off the coast of Albany. Dozens of hungry sharks munching on the feast of a lifetime, a 15-metre humpback whale carcass.
That's probably like you and I having a vanilla slice, you know, pretty good.
Aussie travellers John Cloak and Indy Crimmins captured the spectacular sight while fishing at Norman's Beach. When splashing caught their curiosity, they put a drone up and what they found blew them away.
You know, it's nature in the raw. It's if you haven't been up close to that sort of thing, yeah, it's pretty confronting and exciting at the same time.
And in 40 years as a fishing writer, Mike Rowenfeld hasn't seen a feast this big either.
It seems to be you get 2, 3, 4, 5 sharks, but occasionally you get more, but that's an awful lot on this one.
He says the biggest sharks could be great whites, but the majority likely whalers.
There's no competition for it because it's a great big thing, and even if other sharks turn up, they can all get a feed. There's a lot of food there.
The carcass now rotting on shore and the beach closed for good reason. Louise Rennie, 9 News.
Natalia Cooper has your weather details from Lake Munga tonight. And Natalia, clear skies across the city.
Yes, Tomo, it was a beautiful blue sky day and it was a little bit warmer than expected. Our top was 25.7 and that came around 3 o'clock this afternoon. We had another chilly night, morning low of 8.3 degrees. Now, the Pilbara is being smashed by heavy rain. Varanus Island recorded 103 millimetres in the 24 hours tonight. Onslow had more than 50. A severe weather warning is still in place. Now, showers will start hitting Perth in the early hours of tomorrow morning. We could see up to 15 millimetres in the gauges by the end of the day. Now, we'll have more wet days than sunny ones over the next week, but Saturday is shaping up to be quite a beautiful one. So I'll have all those details a little later in the bulletin, Tomo.
Looking forward to it, Natalia. Thank you. Next, the Perth Power women who may determine the federal election. The new candidates battling it out in the coalition's most marginal WA seat. Plus, the police crackdown on hoon madness in Melville. Amber Heard caught out in a major lie in a courtroom bombshell. And fleeing a booze bus, a Porsche driver's wild run from the law. The coalition's most marginal WA seat will be a crucial contest with Labor looking to seize on a long-serving Liberal MP's retirement. Both major party candidates are new, but they are battling it out like career politicians.
This mother of two wants you to remember her.
My name's Anita, I'm the Federal Labor candidate.
It's Anita Mascarenas, an engineer for 15 years, now pursuing a career representing Swan.
What the community wants is parliamentarians that look a lot more like them. And so, you know, started my career in steel cap boots on a mine site.
The Labor hopeful on the campaign trail since last June, door knocking more than 40,000 homes.
I think we're going to flip the seat.
A seat that is the government's most marginal in WA, and Christy McSweeney is trying to keep Liberal as long-serving MP Steve Irons retires.
People are diversifying into new training opportunities, into new careers to service that demand, and that is what we do here in Swan.
The former media and political advisor optimistic after 7 months on the hustings.
I'm confident that people are responding to the strong economic management message.
Swan is held by the Liberal Party on a 3.2% margin. The seat covers most of the area between the Swan River and the lower parts of the Canning River, including suburbs like South Perth and Como, but also industrial areas like Welshpool and Kewdale. So what are the voters prioritising in Swan?
Just the general cost of buying food at the supermarket.
Climate change and character.
Tomorrow night, we look at the seat of Hasluck. Michael Stamp, 9 News.
Police are tonight sending a strong message to hoons tearing up Leach Highway in Melville. 4 cars have been identified in the hunt for the drivers after vision of burnouts and dangerous driving was posted online.
The practice of these car clubs that do this behaviour is not acceptable at all, and I can send a very strong message that we will come out, we will find you, we will seize your car and we will charge you.
Reckless drivers can face fines of up to $6,000 and possible jail time. Amber Heard has come under fire in court as Johnny Depp's defamation case against her took a dramatic turn. The actress was accused of faking injuries and lying about domestic abuse.
As their volatile marriage ended, Johnny Depp promised his wife he would never again look her in the eye.
And he kept that promise, hasn't he? As far as I know, he cannot look at me.
His legal team accusing Amber Heard of beating up her famous former husband.
Right, Miss Heard? I could never hurt Johnny.
She says he was the abuser, repeatedly injuring her, showing the jury a makeup kit she carried around to cover up the constant bruises. Lawyers taking her to task over allegations Depp broke her nose after the Met Gala in 2014.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Miss Heard? That's why I'm wearing makeup.
She filed for divorce in 2016.
I knew if I didn't, I'd likely not literally survive. The violence was now normal and not the exception.
Pledging to donate her $10 million settlement to charity. Depp's lawyers today forcing her to admit she didn't.
I haven't been able to fulfill those pledges because I've been sued.
Johnny Depp is seeking nearly $70 million in defamation damages. A jury will soon decide who is telling the truth. In the United States, Amelia Adams, 9 News.
A driver fleeing a booze bus has left a trail of destruction, leading police on a wild chase through several Sydney suburbs. On the wrong side of the road and clipping innocent drivers, the reckless run came to a crashing end when the Porsche smashed into a Mercedes. The luxury car flipping on its side between parked cars. The 29-year-old man had already been banned from driving until 2057. Family and friends of Andrew Symonds have returned to the Queensland crash site where the cricket legend lost his life. The 46-year-old's daughter will celebrate her 10th birthday tomorrow without her father.
Jimmy Maher and Andrew Symonds were best mates. Two boys from the bush, brothers in arms, an unshakable bond.
We'd look at each other and not say a word, but we knew what each other was thinking, and every time you sort of were with him, you felt like you walked taller and you felt safe.
They met playing under 10s, played for their country, won a World Cup together.
The things that we shared were things that I'll miss, family stuff and all those things. He's just a true friend. You know, once he had your back, he had your back.
Maher's in Townsville to wrap his arms around his second family, to try to ease the pain. Tomorrow will be daughter Chloe's 10th birthday.
Look, they're all hanging in. They're tough, resilient people, and but you know, this is just their sternest ever and hardest ever test. He'd want me to be, you know, with Will and Chloe as much as possible, and they're just, like all of us, hoping that it's just a bad dream, but the reality is it isn't.
Townsville, the city he loved, the city that loved him, is already looking at a permanent memorial.
Look, I want to talk to the family because anything we do, I want to make sure that the family is supportive of it.
And talks are underway for his Bulls legacy to live on, with an annual player award and/or scholarship in his name. Lane Calcutt, 9 News.
The Reserve Bank was considering a much higher interest rate rise when it met earlier this month. It's left the share market in no doubt another hike is on the cards. Business reporter Chris Kohler explains.
The RBA confirmed it came close to hiking official interest rates by a huge 40 basis points earlier this month as it tried to tackle inflation. It opted instead for a 25-point hike, but the board certainly didn't rule out a supersized rise in the future. That sent the Aussie dollar higher today. It popped above 77 US cents for the first time in a week and was up against other major currencies too. The share market also ticked higher, making it 3 positive days in a row. Commonwealth Bank shareholders gave the thumbs up to a range of new banking products unveiled today, and a bump in the oil price overnight helped energy stocks. Tomorrow the focus is on wages data, and perhaps coincidentally, job site Seek fell sharply today. Other tech companies also dropped after a rough night on Wall Street.
Next, the new digital home loan that could lower your rate. How you can cash in on a new wave of competition in the mortgage market. Plus, flights grounded in a dust and sand superstorm. Melania Trump drops a 3-word bombshell, and the father and son behind a jaw-dropping new monster truck show. Australia's biggest bank is making a pitch to win over loyal customers. The Commonwealth has announced a series of new products, including discounted home loans, to keep borrowers happy as interest rates rise.
Standing alone, but millions of eyes are on this man's every move. Interest rates are expected to keep rising, including at Australia's biggest bank.
We think they're going to be able to cope with higher interest rates, but of course it's an uncertain time.
Today, CBA boss Matt Comyn is banking on loyalty, unveiling a handful of new products designed to keep customers close amid that uncertainty.
We want to make sure that they feel appreciated for continuing to bank with CBA.
So, what's the bank serving up? First is a new digital-only mortgage called Unloan with a lower interest rate and loyalty program built in. Every year, an extra 0.01% discount is added. Second, Kit is a new money app for kids. It's a prepaid account with a card that allows for digital pocket money and controls from parents. It replaces the now scrapped Dolomites program. And third, Yellow is a new reward system, which includes things like cashback on home insurance, shopping discounts and prize pools, all flowing into what's become one of the country's biggest apps.
We see somewhere in the order of 6 to 10 million logins per day, and we want to make sure that experience for our customers is as positive as possible.
This is the first time a major bank has offered this kind of discount, but analysts aren't surprised. CBA has 15 million customers, and so increasingly the strategy is around keeping them. And while experts say today marks a win for customers, borrowers still need to shop around.
They need to check the competitiveness of every single one of their banking products in the broader marketplace.
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
A 29-year-old prisoner has died in custody in our Great Southern. The man was found unconscious in a change room of Albany Regional Prison's kitchen about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. First aid was performed before paramedics arrived, but he died in hospital. The death is not being treated as suspicious. A sand superstorm has battered Iraq, turning Baghdad and other cities orange. It's the 8th blast to hit the country in recent weeks. The weather closed schools and businesses and grounded flights while putting hundreds of asthma sufferers in hospital. Melania Trump has hinted her husband may run for president again. In her first interview since leaving the White House, the former First Lady says she thought the Trump administration had achieved a lot, suggesting the 75-year-old may be ready for another 4 years.
I enjoyed living in the White House. To be First Lady of the United States was my greatest honor.
And maybe it'll be your home again?
Never say never.
Trump has repeatedly teased a 2024 run for the White House. A thrill-seeking father and son duo with a passion for big wheelers is starring in a high-octane spectacle in Sydney, Monster Truck Mania, will feature an Australian first manoeuvre that's not for the faint-hearted.
There's off-road and then there's Monster Truck Rogue. Fuel-guzzling four-wheelers full throttle. This year there's a new star of the show, Devil's Taxi, built by this father-son double act.
So it runs in the genes, the petrol head.
Yeah, of course. You don't have a choice.
Michael Squirb will be behind the wheel with an Australia first manoeuvre, the moonwalk.
But obviously it's a fine line between ending up on your roof or ending back on the four wheels.
The trick landed him in trouble last month at Rod Laver Arena after flipping onto its roof.
Only the worry was obviously him being upset with me having to have a repair bill at the end of the night.
Michael built the truck with his dad Sam over 12 months during lockdown, one of 100 they have at home.
I'm putting a lot of faith in your hands, Sam, and I've just met you.
Don't listen to him. He's just trying to scare you.
When was the last time you rolled it?
Last week.
Wish me luck.
A very average, normal day in the office. Kids, don't try this at home.
Yes, leave it to the professionals who have a licence to thrill. Sophie Walsh, 9 News.
A drive on the wild side. Ahead, stroke treatment overhaul. The new advice giving patients access to life-saving drugs for longer. Plus why Hollywood heartthrob Ryan Gosling is heading down under. But first, Matthew Pavlich is here with Sport. And Pav, some brutal honesty from a veteran Eagle.
Well, Tomo, Josh Kennedy has ruled himself out of this weekend, and he also admits he's battling to play out the season. And where will Griffin Logue be next season? We asked the out-of-contract docker. Dimmer gives Dusty's departure his blessing, and major miss as the Gunners shoot themselves in the foot. Eagles forward Josh Kennedy has revealed just how hard he's pushing his body to get through a 17th AFL season. Battling a chronic knee injury, the veteran ruling himself out of Sunday's clash with the Giants.
285 games, 700 goals. Josh Kennedy still giving everything for his club.
There's a lot of options with the knee where you can drain fluid from it. You got your cortisones, you got your rest time. Probably missed this week as well, just to give it a bit of a rest, and we'll bounce back towards the Bullies.
Ruled out again, the Eagles' all-time leading goal kicker feeling the pain of a bruising career.
I've had a few surgeries on the old knees over the last 17 years, so she finally got to a point where she's a bit kind of bone on bone-ish.
Another blow, Liam Ryan accepting a 1-week suspension but missing the next 3 matches with a hamstring strain. Elliot Yeo and Shannon Hearn training away from the main group and won't return against the Giants. Andrew Gaff a test to play. Skipper Luke Shuey ready to give the midfield a boost.
He brings everything we want a captain to bring, so yeah, he's a massive player to come in.
Even bigger will be Nat Fyfe's comeback. The Fremantle skipper set for another big week on the track, eyeing a round 12 return. Michael Walters and Matt Taberner should be back against Collingwood.
With Matt Taberner tracking really well, but want to see how he comes through main train on Thursday.
Signs good, Sam Switkowski will clear concussion protocols before Sunday's clash. Stand-in skipper Alex Pearce still recovering after being subbed out against the Suns.
Jagged his ankle, which he's done a couple of times this year.
Mitch Turner, 9 News.
Well, after their first loss in 6 weeks, the Fremantle Dockers are turning their attention to Collingwood at Optus Stadium this Sunday. Key defender Griffin Logue joins us now. And Griff, thanks for your time. Firstly, what went wrong against the Suns? You had so many inside 50s.
Yeah, hey Pav, cheers for having me. Yeah, as you said, a fair bit did go wrong. Obviously, we think we had nearly 30 more inside 50s than the opposition. Yeah, so it's kind of back to what we need to improve on for us, and little bit of that is connection between the mid-forward kind of connection and from the back half.
Now let's talk about your own form. You've been in and out of the side a little bit this year. Is that frustrating for you?
Yeah, definitely. For myself, it is a bit frustrating. Haven't felt like I've wavered too much in terms of my own form, and obviously we're in a really good spot at the moment, where we kind of have a lot of depth kind of to build off, and unfortunately people are going to miss out, and that's been me a few times, and it just shows the depth that we do have.
So it is frustrating, but let's talk about your future. Perhaps there's some Melbourne clubs keen on your services. You are coming out of contract. Where do you want to play your football next year?
I definitely want to kind of stay here for sure. I mean, I'm a Perth boy and always grown up around here, and Dad's always been a big kind of Freo fan as well, so I'll let that kind of sort itself out towards the end of the year, and I'll give you it's just, for now, it's just pretty simple focus on just kind of play the best footy that I can personally, but more so as a team, see where we can really take it.
Now, it's the Sir Doug Nicholls Indigenous round this weekend, always a great occasion, and it's a huge clash against the Pies. What do you have to focus on to get the win? Yeah,
just touching on the Sir Doug Nicholls round is obviously a massive game for our club. I think you would have seen Sonny Walters kind of modelling the jumper that he's designed as well, so that's a big part of it, and something that we'll definitely take pride in. In terms of the game, I mean, we just got to, for us, I think we need to go back to basics in terms of winning the contest and winning the ball when it's our turn to win. So,
Griff, a huge game this weekend. Thanks for your time and all the best.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
Richmond coach Damien Hardwick is considering life without Dustin Martin, with speculation the three-time Norman Smith medalist is interested in a move to Sydney to escape Melbourne's footy bubble.
Whatever Dustin's decision is moving forward is up to Dustin, and to be honest, he has my blessing. Look, what he's given me, us, our fans, has been incredible, and whatever we get from here on in is a real bonus from my point of view.
Dusty's premiership teammate Marlon Pickett will miss Saturday night's Dreamtime clash at the G after failing to have his one-match ban for this bump overturned. And Arsenal's Champions League hopes are in tatters. Newcastle sending the Gunners tumbling out of the top four with a stunning 2-0 win in the second-last game of the season.
Great smothering save, but it's threaded in. It's a hammer blow to Arsenal's Champions League's hopes.
Arsenal now almost certain to miss the Champions League for a 5th straight season. That is hard to believe, Tomo. They've been a very impressive team for a long time. Not impressing fans, though, no. Arsenal at the moment.
That one hurts.
Yes, it does.
Matthew, thank you. Next, a major stroke breakthrough, giving victims a better chance of recovery. Plus, the tourist boat that got too close to a breaching whale. And Natalia Cooper is at Lake Munga tonight. Natalia, we're in for a wintry blast.
Yes, Tomo, up to 15 millimetres could fall in the gauges in showers tomorrow. A storm is possible too, and then those showers will linger right through the weekend. I'll have all of the details from Lake Munga soon.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the biggest stories making news in Perth this evening. A grieving son is demanding change after his mother died of a heart attack while waiting 2.5 hours for an ambulance. The Premier apologising and promising action. 2 men have been charged with attempting to smuggle in almost $130 million worth of cocaine via a ship off Port Hedland. A Gilmore College schoolboy has been expelled after he was filmed threatening another student with a kitchen knife. And dozens of hungry sharks have been caught on camera in a feeding frenzy near Albany. An overhaul to the treatment of strokes is expected to save lives and improve recovery. Sufferers can now access a crucial drug within a widened window, changing the outcome for thousands.
It's been 4 years since Helen Keramitis had a stroke.
It's hard, but there is still life after stroke.
Luckily, the active mother and hairdresser was able to get to hospital within the 4.5-hour time frame to be given a life-saving drug designed to disperse clots and restore blood supply to the brain.
The thrombolizing injection was administered, which stopped any further damage happening.
New research has allowed that time frame to administer the drug to be extended to 9 hours after suffering a stroke.
That means more patients will get treated with the life-enhancing drug. More patients have the best ability to recover from a stroke.
The Living Guidelines Initiative, who collate the latest published studies, has been pushing for the change to the guidelines.
That's 320 Australians that have benefited from one updated guideline. Imagine what that can do across multiple chapters.
Stroke is a leading cause of adult disability in Australia, with an estimated 27,000 occurring each year. That's one every 19 minutes. A Stroke Foundation survey found that 40% of Australians do not recognise the signs of a stroke and therefore may not call for an ambulance fast enough to receive urgent medical care. Symptoms include changes to the appearance of the face, arm mobility and speech.
Every stroke is a medical emergency. Time equals brain. So the quicker we get someone to hospital, the better chance we have of being able to treat them.
Zara James, 9 News.
A breaching whale has landed on top of a tourist boat in a dramatic day on the water in Mexico. At least 2 people on board were injured. The ocean ordeal has prompted a warning from local authorities to take extra care and avoid marine life. Hollywood heartthrob Ryan Gosling is heading down under. The superstar will call Sydney home as he films a new movie later this year. Production starts in spring for the big screen remake of The Fall Guy, based on a hit 80s TV show. It's not known whether Ryan Gosling will bring his wife, Eva Mendes, and his children for the filming. A unique art installation depicting 3 vacuum cleaners has sold for an astonishing price. The piece by American artist Jeff Koons is made up of 2 Hoover convertibles and a 10-gallon double-decker. It fetched $4.4 million at auction. Quite remarkable, and some would say they certainly cleaned up with that. Stay with us. Natalia Cooper's back with all of your weather details live from Lake Munga right after this break.
Good evening. A beautiful late May day in Perth. Plenty of sunshine. It has clouded over now, but once the news is finished, I tell you, you should go outside and have a look at the moon. It is absolutely stunning. It's almost glowing in orange colour, and we are lucky to have a front row seat here at Lake Munga this evening. Well, let's get into today's weather, and we had a top of just under 26 degrees, and that was around 3 this afternoon. It was another chilly night, dropping it to around 8 degrees, and right now it's sitting on 19.3. Let's go to the charts, and a trough and associated cloud band are bringing some very heavy falls to our Pilbara. More than 100 millimetres has fallen at Varanus Island. A severe weather warning is still in place. Now, a cut-off low will cause showers and a possible storm in Perth overnight and tomorrow. Around the nation tomorrow, a fine day is on the way for Brisbane and Sydney. Cold temperatures expected in Canberra and Hobart. Back in our north, more heavy rain in the Pilbara. Karratha and Newman could see 50 millimetres in the gauges. Exmouth, though, will be fine with a top of 27 degrees. Further south, a shower or 2 for Geraldton. Bunbury could see 20 millimetres of rain, while a thunderstorm is possible in Albany. On the waters, north to northwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming west northwesterly around 10 knots in the early afternoon. Seas to around 1 metre and swell up to 3 metres. So the forecast for Perth, showers will begin in the early hours of of tomorrow morning and continue through the day. A thunderstorm is also possible. We could get up to 15 millimetres in the gauges. 22 our expected top after a low tonight of 13 degrees. Looking ahead, a shower or two with a max of 22 on Thursday and Friday. Saturday is going to be beautiful. Lovely sunshine and 25 degrees. But the rain will be back on Sunday. 20 millimetres is forecast then. Another 35 could come on Monday and 15 millimetres for Tuesday. So some very decent rainfall over the next week, Tomo. But I'm going to go now because I think all of the midges and mosquitoes are having a field day with my feet.
Sounds like a smart move, Natalia. Thank you. That's 9 News for this Tuesday. Thanks for your company. Current Affairs next. Enjoy your evening. Good night.